So, hello everyone. Welcome to the second annual Global Goddess Fest, a week-long virtual festival uniting female leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives worldwide. So thank you all so much for joining us today. And today we have Trudi Lebron here, and I'm so excited to have you here. We're just really very recently connecting and upon getting recommendations to have her on the festival, I checked her out and I was like, yes, this woman is a boss babe, and we all got to hear what she has to say. So she's a coach, a consultant, and a podcaster, and like I said, a boss babe in many ways. So Trudi, would you love to just tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I do a bunch of things, and my kind of coaching career has kind of unfolded in very unique ways. So a little bit about my background real quick is that, I worked for 15 years in the nonprofit industry. I did everything from, like when I first started working with kids and after school programs, and kind of fast tracked into management and kind of like directorship in the nonprofit world. So I oversaw like many different kinds of programs, everything from like farmers markets to teen pregnancy prevention programs, working with teen moms, working with students in urban high schools who are kind of overage, under credit, and needed support, and transitioning to adulthood and getting their diploma and going to college and doing all the things that we're going to do. Then I went from that field to being a professor in human services. So I did a lot of teaching around program design and case management and working with people and motivation and research and all the nerdy stuff that goes into academia. And I found that I was a natural coach. I had gotten a coaching certification kind of along the way on my path. And I felt really confined. I always had felt really confined, like working for people and being in like these really formal structures. And I felt like an educational institution was really the epitome of this kind of like hierarchical, structure. So that didn't, it wasn't a good placement, wasn't a good place for me to be. So when I left, I took some time off and really decided I'm going to double down on my own thing. And that's when I really kind of, put the pedal to the metal and said, I'm going to make my business work. I had been consulting on the side for a while. But that's when it really required some like really good focus. So I wasn't quite ready to be full-time in my business yet. So I found another gig while I grew my business full-time. And then eventually I was able to leave the nonprofit world. This was about 3 years ago now, able to leave the nonprofit world full-time and run my business full-time. And so now what I do is a combination of helping women of color really grow themselves professionally, and many of them starting their own businesses, many of them staying in their kind of social impact fields, whether that's education or nonprofit, human services work, social work, but kind of advance and lead from a place that's not about that structure, but that really lets them be their authentic self. So I do a lot of that work. I work with all different kinds of people, different races and ages of people to start social impact businesses. So those are for-profit businesses, sometimes nonprofit, but not as much. For-profit businesses that have a real social impact attached, like embedded as part of the core mission of their work. And then I also more recently have started working through a collaboration with my friend and now business partner, Louisa Duran. We have a podcast called That's Not How That Works. And we've kind of combined efforts in that, under that brand, to work with white coaches to help them just look at diversity and equity in the coaching industry a little bit different, to expand their range, to kind of undo some of the bias that we learn, that we pick up, that everybody learns and picks up along the way, to really help them provide coaching spaces that are truly diverse and safe for all people. So that's kind of the range of work that I do right now. And I love it. It's really meaningful and flexible, and I get to like homeschool my children and live based on like my values. So that's what I do.
Amazing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. What would you say, you have so much going on. How do you balance it all?
Oh my God. So yeah, that's probably the most consistent question I get, not just now, but like through my whole life. I've always been the kind of person who has had multiple things going on. I was a teen parent, so I've had children my whole adult life. So I was always like parenting and working and in school and side hustling or starting a business. And so that question is like really the key question. And my answer to that is really being clear about what I want, and being kind of relentless about it, like just being so focused and clear about it. To being good at like picking one goal and like giving it dedicated time to grow, right? So I think that's one place where a lot of people who like me have lots of interest and lots of talent, but the instinct is to kind of have a lot of projects going on at once, like to have multiple things going and doing a little bit of this and doing a little bit of that. And then you don't kind of see the progress that you want to see, as fast as you want to see it. So I've been pretty good about focusing on like, this is the main goal on this project. And I'm just going to like die hard, like, get that done before adding a whole bunch of other stuff to it. And so that has allowed me to get farther faster. So I think that's really the key, and just being, letting myself, like allowing myself to trust myself, like that I'm not crazy for having these kind of big grand goals, even though sometimes, you feel like you might be, to just really trusting that vision is real and that I have it, and that I'm going to dedicate the time and energy that I feel like it deserves. So sometimes that means I'm up till 2:00 in the morning working on something, and not begrudgingly so, like with excitement and passion. And it means that sometimes at 9:00 at night, I'm exhausted and I'm like, just want to go to bed. And so I do that, like it's just trusting myself and listening and doing what I need to do.
Totally. I think sometimes we try and like have this like even keel balance, and that actually can throw us off. And
Yeah.
the saying that I love and live by is like everything in moderation, including moderation. And
Yeah.
so being able to like sway and dance and play with the energies and everything that we have going on. So I love that example.
I try to like think about balance not as like you're not going to get balance in a day, right? You're not going to spend equal amounts of time sleeping and spending time with family and friends and working, but think about think about balance across a season or across a year or across a month. Then you can kind of start to see like you can start to find balance in like this more authentic way. Like maybe, for the last 6 weeks, I went really hard, working on a project, and kind of nobody saw me for weeks or heard from me. But then, like that allows me the next month to like take it a little bit easy and spend time with friends and family and not have to worry too much because I've done all the work ahead of time. That to me is balance.
Yeah, totally. And so we're stepping into 2019, and right before we started this interview, you were saying how you just love the new year. So what are you most excited about for this next year?
Yeah, I am like, I don't even know that New Year's is a real actual holiday, but like to me, that's like my favorite thing, like the energy. And it's kind of, it has this like magical energy, and I just really fall in love with the idea of newness and, an opportunity to reset and reflect. And, and I know that, calendars and timelines are all constructs, and like, I get all that. Like logically, I get all that, but like at a soul level, like I just feel so connected to like the reset and refresh, and like, the newness and the seasons, like that's something that's undeniable. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward. So I love planning, and I love kind of looking ahead and kind of saying, these are the projects for this year, and this is what I'm going to get excited about. This year I'm practicing this practice of 7th week sabbaticals. Have you heard of this before?
No.
I'm going to give a plug to this dude named Sean McCabe. He's been around for a really long time, doing internet marketing and business and things like that. But years back, he started talking about 7 these kind of short-term sabbaticals. And the way he practices it in his company is that every 7th week, he and his whole team are off, and they get paid. He like pays his whole team to take a week off after every cycle of 6 weeks. And that time is used for, you know, a combination. It's not necessarily like a vacation, although it could be, but it's used for like, you know, time to dedicate to creative projects, or just to rest and reflect, or, you know, to do something educational, or just to chill out and like not do anything. Like you can use it for whatever, but it's dedicated time that you are not to be working. And so I have decided that next year I'm going to practice that. So in my annual planner, the first thing that went in were these like 7th week sabbatical weeks where I'm just like,
Yes.
I'm not working. Like I'm going to travel. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to paint or practice playing the piano. I have a piano like sitting in the corner right here that, you know, I grew up playing instruments that it's like dusty, I never touch, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just time dedicated to kind of nurture these other things. So I'm really excited about that for next year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great challenge, you know, for myself, for anyone that's watching. Jump in and maybe take a look at your calendar as you're planning the next year and see where can you fit in these little sabbaticals. I love that.
Yeah, I always tell my clients when I'm doing annual planning with them, and I do virtual annual planning with people. They're these like 6-hour sessions. And I tell people the first thing that needs to go into your calendar is vacation time. Like that is and because everything else can come around that. Like if you try to squeeze vacation in to your work, basically what you're saying is that you come last. You just come when you can fit it in, like your time. But that's not why we work. Like we should be working because we want it to like just fit into our life, not the other way around. We don't want our life to fit into our work, right? So I like, put your vacation time in first and just like stick to it. Even if you add in other things later or move things around, like at least it's in there and at least you've accounted for yourself first.
Yeah, so important, especially when it comes to planning and like what an amazing opportunity to like receive this message from you right now at the beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year.
You know, as you're just like looking into everything and you're not having to now squeeze it in.
Yeah, even if it's like long weekends, you know, like even if you just say once a month on a Friday, I'm going to check out on a Friday or cut my day early on a Friday and like just take a weekend off. Like even if you stay home and, you know, just stick around your neighborhood, just make it special for yourself, you know, like have people over, cook yourself a fancy dinner, like just do something special, even if it's just one long weekend a month.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a confession to make. As we're speaking this, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm realizing that I have this piece of paper underneath my desk right now. That was a commitment that I made to myself this last year that I was going to take like a 3 days off to do like a tech detox every like twice a year.
Yep.
3 times last year. And so as I'm reviewing, as you're speaking, I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't do this last one. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It's because I didn't put it in my calendar.
You didn't put it in your you didn't plan it.
Yeah, I didn't plan it. And so I just realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to confess this because I'm sure there's other women that are watching this. And, you know, I'm speaking this for myself for this next year and for all of you. If this is something that you really want to do, even if you make that full commitment, it's not going to happen until you put it in the calendar.
Yeah, it has to be planned, right?
Oh man, I'm like going to my calendar right after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marking that
and
in.
no one and no one has to know. I think especially as women, we're socialized to kind of be the provider, to be the nurturer, you know, and that my background is understanding social constructs. So I'm a PhD candidate in social psychology. I am obsessed with understanding how we become the people we become. Like that is I just love that. And, you know, women tend to feel bad for taking time for themselves. And we have learned all of these wonderful techniques to like put ourselves last and, you know, like, and just kind of, we think that we're doing the right thing by stepping in and stepping up and picking up the slack and just, you know, jumping in at everything at every moment. But we have to stop doing that. Like that is that is what we're doing every time we do that, we're reinforcing that we are not the most important. You know what I mean? That we are not as important as all of these other folks and people. And so what we'll do is we'll put something in our calendar and we'll look at it and we'll go, I can move that. Like, oh, it's just this thing that I'm doing, but I can move it. No, like it's not anybody's business. Like if you're doing a 7th week sabbatical or a tech detox, like no one needs to know that. All you have to say is, I'm not available. Like you don't have to explain why. That way you don't have to worry about people saying, oh, explain that to me. Like, why is that important? Like, we don't have to explain anything to anyone. Just, I'm not available that week. I'm not available that weekend. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. It's such a good reminder. Well, for everyone that's watching, I'm hoping that you're getting a lot out of this conversation as much as I am right now. And we have Trudi has an amazing gift for all of you, which is an annual planner toolkit. Do you want to share a little bit about what that looks like?
Sure. So, everybody has planners and I see all the things online, everybody's purchasing their planners for the year. And that's wonderful. You should use what works for you. But the annual planner toolkit that I use, it's the literal tool that I use, that I've been using for years. And so finally, I feel like I'm ready to kind of share that with people. It's just a year at a glance calendar. And the idea behind this calendar is not that you put every little thing in it, but that it's your big picture vision for how you want to spend your time this year, what your priorities and commitments are to yourself and to your business and to your work. And kind of giving you that view based on your quarters. So it's a Google sheet, so you can either use it online or you can print it out. And if you're the kind of person who needs to have it, everything written out, you can absolutely do that. And the goal is just, it has recommendations in there, like put your vacation time in first, choose like 1 or 2 top priorities for the quarter. And like make sure that those kind of get in there so that you're dedicating time to work on those, every week, if not every day, but at least you're dedicating time every week to working on those goals. It asks you to kind of choose a theme for your year. So it's just that big blown out vision. And the idea is that you revisit it from time to time to just kind of check yourself against, how am I doing? Do I have to add things? Do I have to take things off? Do I have to tweak stuff? Mm-hmm. So that will be available. Use it, customize it, make it yours, but it's just a great starting point for, 2019.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing a bit about, some amazing tools that we can use to start our next year off. And thank you to all the viewers that came and watched today's video. And we'll see you all soon.
Yeah. Bye.